No, bonjour. Anishinaabe Kendaswin, Anishinaabe Education. One of the things about Anishinaabe Education was that before European contact, the language was used, and one of the things, because of our education system, we were able to live for 300 years. And so that kind of tells what kind of an education system we had. And we, well, we still don't really have that anymore because we don't have the language anymore. And so just imagine how strong we were and how knowledgeable we were about the earth and all its secrets, and also our stories, and what our education system was. So basically, this is what it looked like, from my readings and also from talking to the elders. One of the things that I came up with was the fact that our Anishinaabe education system, from the moment that the child was born till they're 7, it was the females that looked after the kids. And one of the things that they looked for was that the word I, which is neen, was not used by the students. It was always we or us. And then, so that was one of the teachings that we had. And one of the other things too was all the females, the mom, the aunts, female grandparents, older siblings, they were the teachers at that time. And one of the things that they had was the language was used all the time, the stories, also the places, the history, and the relatives, the people on in the village, and the history, everything that was done, the songs, the prayer, and the history, everything was told in the language. And then as the kids were growing up, let's say from 8 years old to 14, it was the males that came, the dad, the uncles, the grandparents, the grandpa was introduced. And then after that, because the kids were going out onto the land, hunting and fishing, the water, there's all these teachings that they had to learn. They learned by listening and observing what was being done. So it was the males would teach about the safety, and then there was always stories about everything about the land, the medicines and all that. So that was the teachings. When the kids were about 15, the Anishinaabe education changed. The boys and girls, they had a men's teaching and a women's teachings. The boys were taught by the men, and also it was also the use of their names, whatever their name was. That was their purpose in life, so they had to follow that, and they were taught all these activities that they had to learn how to be men, basically. All the hunting, fishing skills, and men's teachings that they had to follow, and everything was done in the language. Especially the boys, it was always the vision quests and the teachings, and that was all taught by the elders, the men. For the females, it was the strawberry ceremony, and the vision quest and the strawberry ceremony for the girls, and the vision quest for the boys. The teaching was a year long, actually. And for the females, it was the women that taught them that they had teachings. So there's a woman's teachings and there's a men's teachings. And so basically at this time, the boys were taught the men's teaching, so they had a men's language, and then for the girls it was a women's language with all their teachings and ceremonies. So that was how they separated them. And then right till they became elders themselves, there was always learning that had to that took place. And so in our ceremonies, in our teachings, we still have the men's circles and the women's circles. So there was always those things. And so that's basically the Anishinaabe ways of teaching, Anishinaabe Education System. And you must remember that in our before European contact, we had no jails, we had no schools, we had no old folks' homes, we had no hospitals, and we basically lived off the land, still doing hunting and gathering, and that is one of the reasons why we still protect the land, and also let it be known that the language is the one that was used all over before European contact, and why we had that Anishinaabe education system, and why we lived to be 300 years old before European contacts, because of our medicines and our knowledge. But also that the Anishinaabe have to go back and learn the language again, because that's where all our laws are, and our protocols, and our teachings. So that's why it's so important to maintain the language and have Anishinaabe communities bring the language back to the same level as it was used before European contact, and so that we can follow our teachings. Your question.